Morgan Riley with the hat trick of goals off of him. The Leafs cast is unfortunate.
Holy mackerel, what a shot! It's Austin Matthews! Do you believe that? Pounds it off the roof of the net!
Could have used one of those tonight.
Losers, that's what's on this pod, and that was who's on the ice in the blue and white.
Welcome back to the Leafs cast. Stephen Douglas joined by Tim and Ryan Allison. Producer Dave on the buttons, recapping the Maple Leafs Game 3 loss to the Florida Panthers. And the series is now 2-1 as we prepare for our game on Sunday in Florida. An overtime loss, the first loss for the Leafs this series. And it's tough.
It was there. It was there for the winning.
I could taste 3-0 in this series. I could taste it on my tongue, and it was taken out of my mouth. Somebody airplaned it into my mouth, and then just as I went, the hockey gods ripped it away. And this is where we are. It's disappointing.
It's a tough one. I mean, it felt like the Leafs started so hot, and then they really let the game get away from them. Like, that was our worst second period probably of the playoffs so far. Like, it was just really, really bad. And I guess you can take the flip side and say that was just Florida being really good. But no, I think it was just the Leafs being really bad, super sloppy. And somehow, like, if you're going to win the cup, you need to just pull some games you don't deserve to win and win them anyway. And that's what Morgan Riley decided to do when he tied up the game and sent it to overtime. And, like you called it, Tim, 3 goals go off of Morgan Riley. Only one of them counted for the Maple Leafs tonight, and that's the end. And it hurts. It felt like this one the Leafs could have just squeezed out a win and then really put it to Florida here. And sometimes it just don't go your way.
Yeah, and I feel even all of Florida's goals just felt so fluky. I mean, we had some fluky ones as well. It was funny. It was a 5-4 game, but I would say is not an offensive performance that either team will necessarily look back on. But the goaltenders definitely will like a few of them back. But I don't know. There's some things that you look back and say the Leafs did well, and there's reasons for hope as the series goes on. We've seen the Leafs roll over and die in important games before, and this they were right there, and that's why it's part of what makes it so frustrating. I mean, the fact that it was Brad Marchand got credit for the last goal, and I'm just so done with Florida. So done with all these guys. I hate all of them.
I'm sick of these
Tons
rats.
of fluky goals. Well, I mean, the Leafs get off to an early 2-0 lead into the game, and then Florida storms back with 2 just completely fluky goals. Right? You get the one off Morgan Riley's stick, one where it's poked in under Joseph Woll, who's on his back, and Brandon Carlo, who's playing with the carcass of his stick, and the overtime winner, it was just a weird one, and the Leafs have a handful of goals that way as well, but those are, you call them in the regular season the same way. It's a playoff type goal, right? Some of these greasy ones that are right there in the blue paint, and it's an aspect of the game that's clearing those bodies out of there. And I don't know, it's tough. I don't blame Joseph Woll for not always knowing where the puck is, and it's tough to get to it. And maybe the Leafs could have challenged goaltender interference on that second goal as well, but it was
the Leafs didn't lose the game because of fluky goals. They lost the game because they stopped playing for about 15 minutes in the second period. They even started the second period with a goal of their own and got ahead again, and then it was just I don't know what happened. We haven't seen that in the 9 games of this playoff so far. I thought that era of Maple Leafs playoff hockey was behind us. But it looks like we couldn't make a pass. We looked completely overwhelmed by Florida's forecheck. And even after taking the time out, we stopped the bleeding and that we stopped them from getting goals all of a sudden. But we still were on our heels, just dying for the end of the period to finally come around, just to put us out of our misery. And it's concerning. Either that's the way Florida can play and we're going to have a hard time with it, or that's the true Maple Leafs finally rearing their ugly heads again. Because that's the most old Maple Leafs we've looked all playoffs so far. And I'd say that's where we lost the game tonight.
I mean, we were hesitant on some plays, just taking forever to wait for that perfect shot, which was frustrating when you see that Bobrovsky, I think he probably another sub 900 save percentage tonight. And like in some big rebounds that weren't there, that weren't capitalized on. But I don't know, if I'm gonna call one player out tonight, it's gonna be a William Nylander. Like normally he's like Mr. Clutch, like we talked about all these stats about he's the one that comes through. Every time I saw him, he's just coasting at the top blue line, like some vintage Nylander, like not engaging physically at all. Like he had a couple plays in overtime where like the flashes were there, but I don't know. That guy has to be better. Has to be better.
I can't think of a player I've wanted to shoot the puck more than Willie, and it's mainly because of who he's like up on the rush with. Either it's Pontus Holmberg or Max Pacioretty, and when it's William Nylander who's got 7 goals in the playoffs, and he had like 45 in the regular season, and you're passing it off to Pontus Holmberg on like a 2-on-1. Are you kidding? Like, shoot the puck, man. Not to say they didn't have chances, or not to say the Leafs didn't have chances. Obviously, they ended up with 4 goals tonight, but the sustained pressures were in favor of Florida consistently in the game, and it was telling in that overtime because I said it 2 seconds before the goal went, and I was like, this is not good, because we had been hemmed in our end for like 2 minutes straight, and that was pretty consistent with a handful of times in the game where Florida's getting full line changes, all while they're having offensive pressure in our end, and it just felt like the guys were a little stuck in the mud. Their skates were stuck in the mud. I mean, it's hot down there in Florida. The ice is probably a little soupy. Maybe that's part of it. No, there's no time for jokes.
I actually like Toronto. I would say overall they dominated the first 12 minutes of overtime, but then with 8 minutes left and Florida started pushing back, we were pylons out there just watching, and we were just like dying watching. Like, oh, there's a post. Oh, there's a scramble that just missed the net. Oh, there's another failed clear. There's an icing that maybe is an icing, maybe not. I don't know, but it was just frustrating to see. Like, obviously, like annoying that we didn't get it locked up, and then you see Florida push back, and we just have no answer. And so, like, it wasn't that surprising when they ended it. It just felt like a matter of time.
I don't want to overreact too much, but if we're in the mood for calling out players, I've grown weary. Look at me, Ryan. Look at how weary I look.
You look tired.
You look tired, Steven.
Tired's not the word I'm looking for, okay?
You look weary, Steven.
I'm weary of Austin Matthews not scoring goals for the Maple Leafs.
Missing the net.
Tim, I don't even know what else to say about it anymore. I'm happy when he's on the ice because I know that like generally that line's going to win their matchup. But this needs to end, where the most dangerous player on his line for scoring goals is Matthew Nyes. Matthew Nyes makes 13 times less than Austin Matthews does annually, and Austin Matthews needs to be him. If the Leafs are going to win the Stanley Cup, if the Leafs are going to win this series, Austin Matthews certainly needs to be better than he has been right now in terms of scoring goals. I mean, pucks, shots that if they don't miss the net, they hit the skate of the guy right in front of him. And Austin Matthews is the man who earned that $13 million contract, doing his signature, drag and shoot in between somebody's legs, and it's not working anymore, and we can't afford for it not to be working. We can't afford it.
And to bring it back to William Nylander, which I agree, Tim, like the standout missing player, just the ghost out there. But that guy's been carrying our team for like 4 straight games now, scoring goals out of his wazoo. So you can't ask William Nylander to do that every single game. Sure, I wish he had a better effort tonight. He was, of all of our best players, he looked the least interested, the least engaged. But at some point, you got to look at Matthews or Marner and say, all right, now it's your turn to literally carry this team on your back. We have like a luxury of star forwards that most other teams don't have. Maybe no other teams don't have, like 5 elite forwards. John Tavares gets 2 goals tonight. Like that's the Nylander line, except Tavares decides that he's going to take a swing tonight. And Matthews and Marner didn't look like the offensive threats that we need them to be. And you're right, Matthews is not scoring. I'm about ready to just close the book on that and say he's just not scoring this playoffs.
But
and we're going to have to find another way to win.
But then it's over, because like you can't have your top line center scoring 2 goals in the playoffs.
So why not though? Like I remember Tampa lost Steven Stamkos in the playoffs. He didn't even play. He was doing less than Austin Matthews. He didn't play until like game 5 or 6 or whatever it was of the Stanley Cup final. He came in for a shift, scored a goal, then he was done again, and they won the cup. And they did that without Steven Stamkos even on their roster. Like, if you're going to be a deep enough team to win the cup, then you should be able to win games with the rest of your team. And we have. We beat Ottawa with Matthews barely scoring. We won 2 games against Florida already with Austin Matthews not scoring. So, like, it's not like we can't do it. It gets harder, for sure.
But especially against Florida, like, Tkachuk, I would say the same way that Matthews is a shell of his former self, Tkachuk is playing like a shell of his former self. So maybe that balances out.
I still, like, I'm happy Morgan Rielly has 4 goals through the playoffs and Oliver Ekman-Larsson and the D and like, just like we've gotten a lot more secondary scoring than what we're used to, but I just can't rely on that. I just don't expect to be able to rely on that. Maybe I got to get over it because whatever, we're like 9 games into this playoff run and I need to just, accept that, like, this is what it's going to be like, but I need him. We're going into overtime, and he's the big gun. Or he should be the big gun.
He is not.
He should be the big
gun.
I don't know,
he's
man.
He's probably number 4 or 5 on our team in terms of the big gun. Like, he's just not that anymore.
He has half the goal.
I think Craig Berube needs to recognize that. Take him off of the flank on the power play. Put him in the bumper. Put him in net front. Put him somewhere else other than the shooting spot. He's not shooting. If I was the Florida Panthers, I wouldn't even give any respect to Austin Matthews on that flank. Put Tavares there. Put Tavares there with Marner at the point and Nylander on the other side. Like, stop putting him in a position for him to be receiving the passes and scoring goals because it's not working.
When you look at, like, where the Leafs are at right now, like, they're up 2-1 against the defending Stanley Cup champions in the second round. Like, if you didn't know anything about the Leafs this season, didn't watch a single game, you'd be like, that's amazing. And then if I tell you that they're doing that with Austin Matthews really not contributing very much offensively, you'd be like, that's not actually happening. Which realm are you from, right? So it's just like, it just doesn't feel sustainable if he can't turn it around. I still have some faith that I think he'll figure it out and be able to, just because, like, this is one of the quietest stretches goal scoring wise he's pretty much ever had, even, like, considering how this season went. Like, this is really quiet, and Bob is mortal. Like, Bob's not Bob.
That is true.
Bob's off the case, right? So it's just like your all-world goaltender is bleeding and you need to take advantage of it. Austin Matthews needs to be able to figure that out. Even shooting it along the ice, I don't know. It's tough. I'm trying not to overreact. We are up 2-0 or 2-1 in this series. We still get 2 more home games. I would have taken 3-0. I don't think anybody on earth was thinking the Leafs were going to sweep this series, so I'll get over it. All right.
It's not the end of the world.
We didn't even predict it. I don't even know.
It is hard going up 3-0. Most teams don't do it. There's very few series that make it 3-0, let alone the series against the Stanley Cup champ Florida Panthers. Like, it would have been unbelievable if we got there, and it hurts because we got so close. Like, we were within a shot in overtime away from basically icing this series. But we won our home games. Florida won a home game. If we win the next game and leave Florida with a split, that's fantastic. Like, up 3-1 in the series. The problem is that now if we lose the next game, it's 2-2 and it's all tied up in knots again. So it's the margin of error is so slim. You gotta win the games that are within reach, and it just would have been so sweet to get this one, but it wasn't in the cards. Couldn't do it.
What'll be interesting. So this game, Florida trashed its entire fourth line and brought in 3 new guys. Mm-hmm. Is this finally when we see Berube make a lineup change? I thought
Ryan Reeves, Kyle Clifford, and
yes, come in, injure all their players, and then get out.
Don't bring Nicky Robb back.
Not that I know who I want to come in, because Robertson is the obvious choice, but man, I feel he just get murdered out there. But I am getting quite tired of Pontus Holmberg's inability to look offensively dangerous.
And Bobby McMahon.
Bobby McMahon.
Oh, keep my man's name out of your mouth
there. Max Domi takes the most ridiculous penalties. Like,
won a game
every game he's in the box. It's
every
unbelievable.
Single game, Ryan.
We have way too many. Yarncrook. Tell me one thing Yarncrook has done this whole past 3 games.
Nah, I think you can't take him out. That fourth line gets it done.
I'm not saying that
line,
we should take him out. I'm just saying that the number of players that I can just list off that have been nothings. Like, even Lorentz has not done anything special. That's 5 players in our forward group. that have not been eventful in a positive way, and that's concerning. And maybe it's more concerning that I couldn't even tell you one that I want to have come in the lineup in favor of any of those guys. So it's not looking great for the depth.
Max Domi has as many goals as Austin Matthews in this playoff, and Holmberg's only 2 below him. It's I think it's Holmberg. And it's funny because he moved up to the second line in this game for pretty much all of it. Pacioretty was up there in the beginning for a bit, and it's funny because I don't know what they see in him, right? In either situation. Obviously, that's the line that ends up getting scored on in the overtime tonight. But gosh, I want to see. I want to see Nicky Robb in there. I mean, what? So, I know we're saying he could get beat up. Maybe he gets beat up and then he doesn't play the rest of the games because he gets a little hurt. But, at least we got the game out of him. I don't know. Is it useful
on the road, though? The next game's still on the road. That's tough.
Third line, especially... I was
gonna say, are you gonna protect them any more than currently are? We had 5 players with Bobby McMahon, 13 minutes of ice time. Max Domi, 12 minutes of ice time. Lorenz, 13 minutes of ice time. Lawton, 13 minutes.
Well, Domi would have had more, but he's in the box.
But rolling the lines. Right, but it's just how much effect is he gonna have? Right, if you're barely playing the fourth line, anyways, might as well have someone in there who's gonna make an impact.
So
that might be a little misleading because we were trailing the game for basically the back 30 minutes of gameplay there. So you're gonna play your top guys more than the fourth line. The other 2 games we played where we were winning, you're more so rolling the lines. Especially that Lawton line got more time on ice when we're leading and we're trying to protect the lead here. So it's a little misleading to just look at the ice times for just this game, just based on the way the score effects went. But there's no way that you're taking Bobby McMahon out. As horrible as he's as not great as he's been, you're not going to take him out. Craig Berube loves Holmberg more than his own children, so he's not coming out. I feel like this is going to be the lineup going into next game.
But yeah, it probably is. It's really not worth discussing, I guess, too much. But I definitely, even though he is my man, Nicky Robb. If you swap Nicky Robb for Bobby McMahon, I don't think you're losing anything at this point. Bobby McMahon's played 9 games, but he has 0 goals. He has I don't know how many assists, probably none. And besides beating out the occasional icing, I'm just not seeing it. And I will secede my spot in the man competition this season if it means the Leafs can win this series on the backs of somebody besides Bobby McMahon. So it's frustrating.
I want to see some of these guys playing for their spot in the lineup. Yes, Berube gives them a vote of confidence by not changing the lineup. Obviously, it works against Ottawa. But I want to see these guys that are on the fringe. I want to see them desperate to stay in. I want to see them find that next gear saying I want to have an impact on this team. And if these guys say, oh, it doesn't matter what you do, that you're always going to have a spot in the lineup. All you have to do is hit some people. It's take you out, learn some sense, watch from the press box.
I mean, granted, the last time that we were all on here begging for a lineup change was after Game 5 against Ottawa, where we were get Pacioretty out of there, put Nick Robertson back in, and then Pacioretty goes and scores the overtime winner, and now we all love the guy. So Craig Berube seemed to have been a smart coach. He's been done a pretty good job this.
But wasn't Nicky Robb getting a bunch of penalties when he was in for the first 2 games?
He took 1 penalty. Yeah, 1 penalty. I would like to discuss Joseph Woll for a minute here, because while there were some fluky goals, and he did have some nice saves, holy cow, that 1 goal that he let in was just brutal. That was the worst goal that we have let in the playoffs so far, and that's a goal that Stolarz would not have let in. And I was singing Woll's praises. I was predicting shutouts last game when he came in. I was riding high on him. And while he had a great game, that was unacceptable that he gave that up. There's not really any other option here. We're not going to Hildeby. We're not going to Murray. It's going to be Woll in Game 4. Stolarz is definitely still out, regardless of them not refusing to actually admit that he's concussed. He's concussion, so he'll be out for a while here. It's going to be Woll. I wouldn't say I have the most amount of confidence in him. Probably similar to the amount of confidence Florida probably has in Bobrovsky at this point. It's just not it's not going to be the battle of the goaltenders. It's just going to be who can capitalize on their opportunities. And I hope it's us, because it's going to be weird bounces. It's going to be the odd squeaker that goes in. It's just the way this series is going to go.
Overall, though, I would say I think Wall outplayed Bobrovsky tonight. I think
I don't know. That goal was so bad.
He made some big saves tonight, though. Like Florida put it on Wall a lot more than we put it on Bobrovsky tonight. I think that I'm not saying that I don't think Stolarz could have done better, but like I'm just maybe not quite as nervous when they're shooting on Wall as it sounds like you are.
There was one point where he let in 4 goals on 16 shots. That is not good, no matter what the shot quality's like. That's a bad game.
Well, there's not going to be a lineup change. You know, we're all the same goalie is going to be in, the same lineup's going to be in, the same boys are going to be on the podcast next time, and we're going to be talking about a W instead of an L, because
I hope so.
This is, even though like we're a little doom and gloom, this is the same group that went up 2-0 against the defending Stanley Cup champions. They just lost a game in overtime. It wasn't a 7-3 L or something like that. It was in overtime. But Tim, remember what I was saying? This has a chance to be the best weekend of my life or the worst weekend of my life. Well, it's shaping up to be the worst there, brother. Ryan, do you like that when I call your brother?
We'll see what happens on Sunday.
Yes.
Oh, man. All right.
Still one game left. We could turn the weekend around.
Yeah, no, 100%. I get right back at it. You know, everybody left the game relatively healthy tonight, and that's all we can hope for. Who knows? Maybe Stolarz comes back. He's not confirmed out yet.
Dreamer
all right.
over here.
We're wrapping up the pod. Thanks for listening. Subscribe. Tell your friends. Just try to enjoy your Saturday. Get ready for Sunday. Call your mom.
I can't even remember another player for any team, even the players we played against, who takes as many penalties as Max Domi does. And dumb penalties that you don't need to be taking.
Yeah, it's weird that like there's zero tolerance for Nicky Robb doing that, right?
Yeah.
Or other guys even, like, you know, Holmberg takes a dumb penalty and sits a couple of shifts, but Max Domi, it's like, hey, you're right back. You're right back out there. I don't know, man.
And like no reduction in ice time, no going, like it's just like no consequence. It's just like, well, that's part of the cost. I mean, maybe it's justified because like he'll score a goal every other 4 games, and like we don't have a lot of guys that can do that. Like I just listed off 5 guys. Lawton's another one. He's not scoring any goals this whole playoffs. Like just will not happen. So maybe it's just Domi can do whatever he wants because he's one of the few guys in the bottom half of our lineup who can score.
Why was Nazem Kadri in a suite with Wayne Gretzky tonight?
What?
Why are those two together?
Strange.
Where was Wayne Gretzky tonight?
In a suite with Nazem Kadri. What am I speaking
in
French?
In which arena? Our arena?
In Florida.
What's he doing in Florida?
I don't know. It was on the TV. Nazem Kadri and Wayne Gretzky.
So Nazem's just watching his old boys.
Am I crazy? Like I swear that was Nazem Kadri.
I didn't see it.
He just wishes he could be a Leaf again.
Gretzky.
I don't know how much we want him.
Nazem Kadri, Gretzky. First article is from 2013. Nazem Kadri isn't Wayne Gretzky. Hang on, let me go to Twitter.
Nazem Kadri isn't Wayne Gretzky. Clearly,
yeah.
I would not take.
No, I just keep thinking about like old playoffs against Boston with like Brad Marchand taking nasty hits to Patrick Marleau, and then Nazem going and beating the living daylights out of him.
Yeah, Kadri's there. Like, hang on.
That was why Nazem Kadri was the absolute worst, and I hate his guts. What a loser.
But like, I don't know, tonight's game felt like old Nylander.
Back-to-back series against Boston. He took himself out of the series. Stop defending this man, David. He's the worst.
I'm not defending that man.
Nazem Kadri is the Dolores Umbridge of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
I don't know what that
worst.
I don't know what that is.
Steven, you watched the series.
That's Pink Lady from Harry Potter.
Number 5.
Oh
David
no,
has a
yeah,
crush
no,
on.
I refer to her as Pink Lady. Yeah, how about you wake up, Dolores Umbridge?